Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a brand new Marco Makes figure to take a look at. We've got not only a Marco Makes figure, but we have a Mesozoic Planet, aka Prehistoric Planet figure to take a look at. And that is extremely cool, because lately we've been kind of focusing on the basic JP 30th anniversary figures from Marco. Well, we now kind of get to stray away from those, momentarily at least, and take a look at a Mesozoic Planet figure. And I've been loving these. They've definitely been some of the coolest releases from Marco yet. I think this is the fourth now in my collection, and they are absolutely some of my most cherished releases from Marco. And you can see, again, we've got the Pachyrhinosaurus here, this time in a beautiful, fully painted figure from Marco Makes. You can see the species name here down at the bottom as I smack the dinosaur in the foot. You've also got a shot of the figure over here, kind of creeping in from the side. The Marco Makes logo, the Mesozoic Planet logo, and Ice World. So that tells you what episode you would find this dinosaur in, and of course a really nice backdrop here for the artwork of the box, showing the habitat that we actually find the dinosaur in the, again, Prehistoric Planet documentary. And then here on the back, you can see some really cool dinosaur toy photography here taken with the figure, as well as a kind of shot here of showing you how big a human being would be next to the dinosaur. And again, information down here as well. So really cool. Again, the packaging of these figures has been incredible each and every time. Super professional, absolutely beautiful in every way. So I'm really excited to get a look at this. So let's pop it out of the packaging quickly, and then we'll be right back. On top of the dinosaur itself, you also get a really cool Marco Makes sticker. We've got a really cool Marco Makes card as well, and you can actually see a QR code here on the back that you can scan to get all the information on Marco Makes that you could possibly want and need. So make sure you scan this code, maybe after the review, but definitely scan it. Then you get a thank you from Marco Makes as well, which is always really cool and shows you again that Marco puts a lot of love and dedication into his products and makes sure that you are happy, and a certificate of authenticity, which is also really cool. And you get the Marco Makes autograph right there, of course, because he signs it. So again, lots of really cool stuff included, even, without the dinosaur. But here is our Pachyrhinosaurus now out of the packaging and looking absolutely phenomenal. Marco really did a great job of capturing the coloration of the dinosaur in his model here, again, because it's definitely got an interesting color scheme, and he really seems to have captured it, again, quite beautifully. But on top of that, his sculpt is phenomenal, really bringing the dinosaur to life in model form perfectly. You can see we've even got those quills and everything that you see on the dinosaur in the film, which is super cool. And you also have it in kind of a neutral position, because if you are unfamiliar with these, he went ahead and created these in a similar way to the old Toy Way Walking with Dinosaurs figures. And because all of those were in sort of a neutral position like this, he's created these Prehistoric Planet or Mesozoic Planet figures again in that same style of a neutral position, just like those Toy Way figures were created. So let's jump to a closer look at this beautiful figure right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Pachyrhinosaurus, you can straight away see an absolute plethora of coloration has been added to the head sculpt of the dinosaur. There are just tons of colors, and honestly, I don't think I'm even going to try to name them all or pick them all out. There's just a whole lot going on as far as the design goes for the paint scheme of our Pachyrhinosaurus. But you can see, again, the sculpt looks absolutely excellent once you get it up close. You can really see how nice the detailing is. You've got the nostrils right there. You can also see the beak. He's done a very good job of highlighting the detail of the beak with that kind of darker coloration, and then it looks like maybe a dry brushing of that brownish tone over top to really highlight the detail quite nicely. And you can also see he's highlighted the nostrils with a darker tone. And as you move through, you can get a really nice look at what the skin texture looks like. Of course, we have that classic Pachyrhinosaurus bump here on the snout, and you can see even that as well is sculpted really nicely. And you can even see, again, so much color variation as you have different variations of browns and lighter tones and everything, making the detail of that pop as well. And as you move back here into the eye socket, you can see reddish tones, white tones, brown tones, black tones, all kinds of coloration. You can also see the eye is painted very nicely, and he's even added a white spot on the eye to give it that kind of nice eye shine. As you move up into the frill, you start to pick up on some really cool greenish tones, again mixing with what appears to be either very dark grays or blacks. You can see that we also have, again, the spikes here painted very nicely as you move around the outer edge of the frill, and they have a nice gloss coat on them, so they shine quite nicely, quite realistically. So a whole lot going on here in the head of the Pachyrhinosaurus. Definitely a very busy section of this dinosaur, but it looks gorgeous again for sure. Really nice sculpt, really nice paint. As you move back here into the neck, you continue to see just how big and bulky the dinosaur is. As you lead into the neck, definitely a lot of bulkiness as you move back. You can see the throat here on the underside of the dinosaur, a few skin creases right there as the lower jaw leads into the throat. And then as you move back up here, you begin to see some of those kind of like quills and stuff picking up here on the back of the dinosaur, as there are quite a few picking up in like the shoulder area, and you can see they lead all the way up there into the back. They look super cool, definitely very Prehistoric Planet-ish as far as that goes, of course, because it is meant to be the Pachyrhinosaurus from that documentary, but you can see he's again giving it that kind of, at this point I would almost say, classic look of what the Pachyrhinosaurus looks like in that documentary. You can also see the rear of the frill looks really quite nice, and again you see just tons of color variation. You've got some really nice reddish tones up here. You've got, again, some darker tones sort of striping and designing through. You have sort of like this tan coloration moving through, and a nice dry brushing over top to kind of mesh everything together, but also again highlight how nice the sculpt is. You can see the spinal column here moving along the back of the dinosaur. You can also take notice to some nice girth in the stomach region of the dinosaur as you move down here into the lower part of the stomach. On top of the nice skin texture, you can see quite a bit of skin wrinkles and skin folds. And then as you lead back here into the front leg, you can see the nice muscle definition, as well as, again, nice paintwork. He's really nicely dry brushed like a darker tone over the lighter tone there, and it looks super cool the way he's painted that. You can see the elbow back there, and then as you move down into the foot sculpt itself looks quite nice. You can see the wrist, and you can also see the nails are painted very nicely with a black, giving a nice glossy shine to them as well, so they stand out quite beautifully. As you move back here, you've got the hip bone up here on the top of the leg, and then as you lead down, you can yet again make out the muscle definition of the thigh, but I like that he's not overly defined it. Like, it's nice, naturalistic, pretty much exactly as I would expect it to look on an actual Pachyrhinosaurus. You can also see the knee here in the front of the dinosaur's leg, and then you of course have the calf muscle, and then as you lead down into the foot sculpt, you have a pretty nice looking rear foot sculpt as well, with again the nails painted out with that nice glossy black. And then as we move back up, you could see a few more kind of skin folds and wrinkles and just movement in general shown. Even though the dinosaur's not really doing a whole lot, you know, it's in a neutral position primarily, it does have a little bit of movement kind of shown as far as like the way the skin is reacting to the positioning of the dinosaur at this point in time. You can see the tail leads downward, and we have a nice striping effect moving down through the course of the tail. And then as you lead out, you again have a whole bunch more of those quills and stuff out here at the end of the tail, giving it a very kind of spiky appearance, which also looks super, super cool. And you're really not going to see a whole lot of difference when you lead over here to the other side. Again, since the dinosaur is in a neutral position, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference going on here, but definitely a phenomenal release. Again, if you are a fan of Prehistoric Planet, you can also see how nice the detailing here looks as you move through the underside. Absolutely gorgeous sculpt and detail when it comes to the skin texture. And again, quite a bit of paintwork even here on the underside. He's definitely gone above and beyond to give you a really nice paint job for the Pachyrhinosaurus. But if you are a fan of Prehistoric Planet, I would absolutely say this, as well as every other one of these Mesozoic Planet figures that have released from Marco so far, are, again, must-haves. Definitely the type of figure that you want in your collection. And this will actually be launching this Saturday, so if you are interested in grabbing one of these, which I highly recommend doing, make sure you check out Marco's video. I believe he already has it up with the premiere date and everything on his channel, so you can head on over to his channel to get an idea of exactly what time you want to be ready to go, again, to watch the video, and then the dinosaur itself will launch on his Etsy shop immediately after. But again, when it comes to these Mesozoic Planet figures, they definitely just get better and better, and this Pachyrhinosaurus is phenomenal. You know, it is crazy impressive how consistent Marco Makes is. Like, he doesn't release bad figures. Like, nothing that he ever releases is even remotely close to bad. I don't think I've ever been able to look at anything Marco has done, released, painted, sculpted, anything, and then find like a negative. It's just not possible. His stuff is always just so awesome. And again, we have, as far as the size goes, we have this beautiful Pachyrhinosaurus showing you how awesome his stuff is. But for a length on this, you are looking at actually about 7¼ inches, or about 18, maybe approaching 18.5 centimeters. And then for a height, you're looking at pretty much 2.5 inches on the dot as far as this spike here goes, or about 6.5 centimeters. Now, these Mesozoic Planet figures aren't all that big, which is a good thing when you think about having so many of them in your collection. I would love, as time goes on, to complete the lineup, and it's nice to have, again, a set of figures like this that really nicely replicate the Prehistoric Planet dinosaurs without taking up a massive amount of room in your collection, and to show you again that they are a bit on the smaller side. There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Marco Makes Pachyrhinosaurus. And you can see, again, pretty much as I said, they are a good bit on the smaller side usually when it comes to these releases. But for more comparisons, we have the Schleich Diabloceratops. So if this is a figure that you do have in your collection, I really wanted to bring this one in just to show you again roughly that they are a very similar size. Of course, the proportions and everything aren't exact, as the Pachyrhinosaurus definitely looks a bit longer. The Diabloceratops from Schleich's a bit taller, but generally they are a very similar size. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor just to step in and give us an idea of, again, a size, because these figures are super popular. Almost everybody has at least one, I would think, in their collection at this point, if you are a Jurassic World collector at the very least. So one that I felt like would be a pretty decent one for a comparison, as always. We've got the Prehistoric Planet T-Rex from Marco Makes as well, or again, Mesozoic Planet T-Rex here next to the Pachyrhinosaurus. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these figures are not to scale with each other. They're all kind of created in a very similar size range, so you're not going to see them too far off as far as the size goes compared to each other. But for another comparison, we've got the Mesozoic Planet Velociraptor as well. If you happen to have this figure in your collection, that will definitely further help give you an idea of a size of the Pachyrhinosaurus. We've also got the Deinonychus, which you can see next to the Pachyrhinosaurus. And how cool is it to see so many of these different Mesozoic Planet or Prehistoric Planet figures together? It is just absolutely incredible to have so many of the really cool dinosaurs that you see in this series already created by Marco, with more to come. And then for one final comparison, here is a Terabibatat Pachyrhinosaurus that I had repainted next to the Marco Makes Pachyrhinosaurus, and this definitely should move them over a little bit, but this definitely helps to give you again an idea of a size if you happen to have the Terabibatat version of the Pachyrhinosaurus, which is definitely a popular figure. You'll probably have a pretty good idea now as far as the size goes of the Marco Makes version, since they're pretty similar. I would say the Terabibatat version is a little bit larger, but they're not too far off as a whole. So this brand new Marco Makes Mesozoic Planet Pachyrhinosaurus is yet again phenomenal, and definitely another super cool addition to my growing Mesozoic Planet collection. This is 4 figures in now from this series, and I've been loving each and every one of them, and it is so cool to now have this version of a Pachyrhinosaurus, because it's such a unique and different looking version than you see with most versions of a Pachyrhinosaurus. Again, with those quills and stuff on it, it just looks so different and so unique as a whole, and I love that visual of this dinosaur, and the fact that I now have a really cool, really high quality model of it is also super cool. Hopefully at some point we'll get the Nanosaurus so we can kind of combine them into a, well, I mean, I guess there wouldn't be a whole lot of movement going on since they're usually in, just basically neutral poses and stuff, but it would be just really cool to have the 2 different dinosaurs that appear in the scene together with each other again. But I'm sure Marco will get to that one as time goes on. But as for right now, we again have the Pachyrhinosaurus, and it looks absolutely awesome. The sculpt is really nicely done, shows off the Pachyrhinosaurus in all its glory, pretty much exactly as I recall it from Prehistoric Planet. He definitely captured the overall appearance to it. Pretty much every aspect of the dinosaur you would want to replicate in model form has been brought to life perfectly by Marco here on this version. And on top of that, when you purchase this figure, you are acquiring it fully painted from Marco, which makes it even cooler to have it sculpted and sold by the original artist, but also painted by the original artist. And his paintwork on this is just as awesome as it always is. Again, really nicely replicating the dinosaur because there's so much color variation on the dinosaur. You almost don't even realize how much color is on it. But Marco has gone and given us, again, an excellent paint job on this figure with tons of variation of color, all nice and naturally applied. And he's applied different areas of like dry brushing and stuff like that just to really make all the detail pop and kind of amp up the realism of the paint job overall. So again, if you are interested in Prehistoric Planet figures, these are the best you're probably going to find ever. Don't see them making a line of Prehistoric Planet figures at all, so you've definitely got to start getting some of these incredible Mesozoic Planet figures from Marco Makes into your collection. So if you are interested, like I said, make sure you check Marco's YouTube channel out, and of course follow him on all of his social media outlets. He just made a post about this, releasing again this Saturday, so if you are interested in this, make sure you are ready to go on Marco Makes channel on Saturday at the launch of this video. Make sure you watch the video, of course, and he shows off the making of this release. And then again, as soon as the video is over, you want to head straight to Marco's Etsy shop and grab yourself this incredible Pachyrhinosaurus before it sells out. So as always, I will have links in the description for all of those things. Make sure you grab your Pachyrhinosaurus on Saturday, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.